really impact? And so he gave me a concept, and it was dealing with trauma. And I have managed and coped with trauma, even, childhood trauma, and a lot of different things throughout my life. And even with my father passing away at the age of 5 due to cancer, and a lot of epics. I went through, probably by the age of 28, more traumas than most people, more major life experiences than people experience in a lifetime, and still, was resilient and still rose above. And so this book on trauma, and so I got really scared, and I'm like, what if I only have 6 months to live? I kept thinking of my friend who passed away suddenly, at the age of 46. And, she was several years younger than me. What if I only have 3 months to live? Or, God, what if I only have 2 weeks to live? What is it that I can give to people? And he said, why don't you just start writing letters to your younger self? And so that's what I did. And the book is called You Got This, Letters to My Younger Self. And I distilled that into everything that I possibly have learned and could share into 5 basic principles that can help people immediately get from a stuck state and spring into success. They can take their fear and turn it to faith, and they can transform their trauma into triumph.
Wow. And when I was listening, I'm glad that you shared what you shared. Like, there's strength in vulnerability. And, when you talk about the things that you've had to work through and been led through, it is, on one hand, a little bit nervous because you never know how people are going to respond. Mm-hmm. But what's bigger than that is that there's somebody out there who needs to hear that and know that even with a parallel experience, mm-hmm, there are constructive ways through it. And another theme that jumped out at me, and this is something that we said numerous times on the show, people see us where we are, but they do not know what we've been led through in order to get here. And when you detailed, your walk getting to this point, that theme just kept ringing louder and louder and louder. But bigger than that is, like you said before, and if you could walk through those principles that your book covers.
Right. So one of the things is, the themes is learning to trust yourself. I trust myself. And as Faya said, you have everything you need right now to be successful. And that's what I really want people to know. If you don't hear anything else, if you're 5 years old, if you're 7, 8, 12, 18, if you're living under a bridge, you have everything you need right now to be successful. It doesn't matter what family you have or don't have, if nobody's supporting you, if you're the ugly duckling, if you have dyslexia, if you've done bad things in your life, if you don't have a lot of money, or if you do have a lot and it seems like you've got all this responsibility and your family's dream is not your dream. Just stop and take a breath and just know and have faith. You have everything you need right now to be successful. And a lot of times we second guess ourselves. And it took me till much later in life to know that I really knew my stuff. And it took other people affirming that when I wish I had known, at 18, yes, I could be a professional writer. Another thing is to forgive yourself. That was a huge, huge principle, because a lot of times we just beat ourselves up. We did the best we could with what we knew and what we had at the time, and we look back sometimes with shame. And you have to forgive yourself because, you may be embarrassed. You still may be walking around embarrassed about things that happened years ago. Nobody else is thinking about that. People have forgotten. They've moved on with their life. Like, I was the pissy girl at school. I went to school smelling like Pete as a little girl. And that was very, even talking about it now, that at the time, that was a real embarrassing and hurtful thing. And, I was 7, 8 years old. I had an alcoholic mother who would be missing for days at a time. So I did good to even get myself up and get myself to school. So, just forgive yourself. a lot of times we just stay trapped in our own stuff and our own shame when the world has moved on, and God has forgiven you. So why are you still, crucifying yourself? Another principle, and it just goes back to knowing that you have everything that you need right now to be successful. So there's, principles like that. I trust myself. I forgive myself. I nurture myself is a big one, because a lot of times, especially people who have experienced trauma in childhood or didn't have a stable home environment, we want to nest. We want to create this perfect home and family life, and we go around, we nurture everyone else, but we put ourselves last. And it's going to catch up with you sooner or later. And so why not now start living your best life and the life of your dreams, and take all of that love that you've been pouring into everyone else and turn it back to yourself. Just try it, just even for a little while. And you get over a lot of the bitterness and pain and expecting other people to give to you and to love you the way that you need it, because you are the only one who can love you perfectly next to God. And you are the only one who can nurture yourself fully and properly. And so that is another one of the very important principles, Drew, is to nurture yourself.